we're going to just go over some housekeeping and invite the chairs to come to the front to take over the meeting. And we'd like to thank all the drum group for their beautiful singing and songs. Also like to thank the chiefs that came in to Garden Entry and attended this gathering. And we'd like to thank the elders and all the flag bearers for bringing in the flags. This is, the Grand Chief was saying this morning, I'm hoping this is going to be one of many and gatherings like this, and I hope it works out that way. I just wanted to go over some housekeeping rules before, as we go through the day. One of the things, I don't know if you've noticed, but when you registered, there are signs that said, this is being live streamed. So as I speak and as we move around the room, the folks who are watching us on internet are watching us right now. So we are live streaming. We are recording all the activities for today and probably on Thursday. So you'll see our camera ladies here. They are working on, they'll be filming and recording. So just so that you know, when you come into this room, the chances of you being recorded are good. If you have a problem with that and you don't want to be recorded, then you may not want to be in the room. The other thing I wanted to mention is that what we hope to do is we want to, as we're recording, we want to be able to make a video in sometime down the road. And so if you do not want to be on the video, there's a form inside your package. You'll see it as the yellow form. This basically saying that you are being advised that Treaty, this gathering is being recorded and live streamed, and we will be making a video recording. If you do not want to be on a video, then if you turn this in, if you sign this and turn it in, every effort will be made not to have you on the production. So I just wanted to mention that. Please keep your cell phones on silent so we have minimal interruption. And when we're going to come up and speak, or we will have a couple microphones available, and we will have somebody, so just raise your hand, the chair will recognize you, and they'll take the mic over to you to speak. We would like you to speak into the mic because we are also recording audio. So I'd like to thank Brian and crew for coming out. He's always helps us in this way. Again, you must choose, if you're registering, we're asking all the participants to sign up to a group. Some of you may not have registered, but the registration has a list of people, and we're asking you to sign up to a group that will be happening tomorrow. And we'd also like to have there's a resource table on the side. Please go and have a look. If you have any questions, they'll answer those questions for you, or direct you to the person who can answer your question, and they will also have material there for you to take home. And so for those of you who want to follow my speech when I give later on, my presentations in your package, but my speaking notes are at the resource table, so you can follow along with what I'm going to be saying at the resource table. We also have door prizes, and we will be making a draw for the door prizes at noon hour every day. So we're going to invite the Grand Chief of Treaty 8 First Nations of Alberta, who's also the Chief of Mi'kmaq Cree First Nation as well. We're going to invite the Portfolio Chief, Billy Joe Labucan, from Little Buffalo, to come and sit at the front. And I'm going to turn over the proceedings to our chairs. We'd like to invite the chiefs or any proxy chiefs to come and sit at the center table. So that invite, we've also invited, we have a guest from the Northwest Territories, Treaty 11, who is a chief for his own nation. We're going to ask him to sit with the chiefs. So we'd like to welcome Chief Gerald Antoine to our gathering, and good to see him here. So we'd like the dignitaries to go to the front. So, Chief.
So, good morning, everyone. I have the honor of being the co-chair this morning and tomorrow morning at this Treaty 8 education gathering. My name is Tanya Capo, and I'm from the Sturgeon Lake Cree Nation. I'm doing some work at the Treaty 8 First Nations of Alberta, working with the Grand Chief as the Grand Chief Liaison. I also have a part-time job as a lawyer. So I'm really happy to be here today to be a part of this gathering because education is very important. Supporting people on their education paths is also very important. And also keeping in mind that we are all educators as we sit here, just the same as we are all students as we sit here. We all have something to teach each other, and we all have something to learn about ourselves and each other also. So I just wanted to quickly take a look at the agenda and let you know that there'll be some adjustments this morning. We have the pipe ceremony. I'd like to thank Mike for offering the prayers this morning in the pipe ceremony and this morning also before we started the session. And thank you to the drum group for offering the songs. It's always an important thing that we do to remember those who came before us and honor them every opportunity that we have. So we had a beautiful grand entry with all the entrances of our flags, recognition of our First Nations in Treaty 8. We'll be going into some welcoming remarks this morning. We'll hear from Grand Chief Steve Coudray. We're not going to hear from Mr. Joe Jobin, he's away this week, but we will hear from Chief Billy Joe Lebacan, who's the Education Portfolio Chief for the Treaty 8 First Nations of Alberta. And then we'll have a little bit of a break, and during the break time, I will be inviting one of our guests. You'll see her name on the panel discussion under UNDRIP. UNDRIP stands for the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. Her name is Professor Brenda Gunn. She's an Indigenous woman from Manitoba. She was also one of my professors in law school. She's very knowledgeable in the international arena, and she is going to spend a little bit of time this morning talking to you about the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, specifically as it relates to education. So during the break, she'll set up her little PowerPoint presentation, and then immediately after that, we'll start with her, and then we'll move into the Education Director's Report. We'll hear from Dale Wasis, Director of Education for Treaty 8, and we'll hear about a proposed funding framework from Sheena Potts, who's the Director of Education from Treaty 7. Then we'll go into the panel discussion up until lunchtime with the three panelists, or the three topics for the panel, which will be standards, inclusive education, and the University of Calgary. So without further ado, I would like to invite Grand Chief Steve Coudray to offer you some welcoming remarks.
Mio Kiksipo. Non ho mai votato in una schissa. Potevi trovare la racchio. Prima mopeda. Big squat the bucky way. Tia and was some snow. Dan zie je me opeens daar hoe oud het is. Omdat ik snel uit de sigaret. En dan schiet je wel tot je maar ziet daar. Isto iskaus miksi vakavaa. Tän siis juomana. Federal, provincial. Ujotaan siis itse, tuskin on jäänyt vasta. Jäänyt olisi. Iwa, pasuuta kahkio. Maan vatus siitä. Kavi, minun peittää. Tuossa sanoa. Kun sanoo. Ainakin mistä ajatella. Tiedä ajatella. Tiedä mistä on. Minun peittää tuo tiedä. Juona puolella. Tuota maata on ollut iskaa, vaan mua toskia. Sitten skapia. Tuitsitia. Siis siitä skapia. No nasmook saa iksi. Spaakenus siellä puhuna. Saa ikistä räätä. Ikis musta maakoja. Tanssisesti miupei. Tanssisesti miupeja. Stugisi lauta. Sama muopia. Skog. Istoa. Ja skopnauta ei riivitä miä. Matsun. Kamihoja. Gaavin. Mistä on vassauta? Piejätä. Sitten ei myyhtiin. Kun maa sitä on juitno. Vitottiin vitakseen. No asemaan. Haumahti. Kutsi on tosi. Se on päätä siitä. Tän siis minun peittää. Kun maa. Kapita uhtiin. Ja naskop naa. Kun jäs sovistoa. Sitten ei myyhtiin, mutta pitä uhtiin. Kisi tuossaakin. Pyytiin taas sovistoa. Naskop naa. Good morning, elders, most important people, the women, the givers of life. Thank you for being here with us. The chiefs, I also thank you for being here and leading the way for your First Nations and the councillors that are here. Thank you. I want to acknowledge the chief from up north, Chief Jerry Antoine. I thank you for being here. You're welcome to participate. I understand your son's here with you. Thank you, young man. I ask you to join us in every way you can to try to work together for the future generations, for our children, for our grandchildren, and those for the ones that are still coming. Just the same way as how the treaties were signed. Our forefathers thought about us, the ones that are still coming. And that's how we have to keep our treaties alive. Our treaties are here to protect us, but also the tools that we use to better the future of our children, our grandchildren. Also want to acknowledge the drum group that brought the flags in, the songs, and all the prayers that are shared. It's really great to see so many people show up on the first day. It tells me one thing. We all care. We care about our future. We care about the education or lack of in our communities. Education is very important and it can be defined in many different ways. It can be defined as kindergarten to high school. It can be defined as university or trade school. It can be defined as curriculum and what the contents that our children are learning. It can be defined as teaching for our children, our ways of being as Cree people, and as Dene people. He defines our land, our language, our waters, and all living things. Education can be one thing, and education can be everything. The most important thing is that we're able to define what education means to us. It's important that we determine what education looks like for our community, or for our children, our communities. And what is important that we determine how education is delivered and available to our children and to all our communities. This is the essence of our treaty rights to education. In agreeing to Treaty Number 8, our ancestors intended that we continue our lives without interruption. They also intended that we have choice. They loved us. Even though our treaty rights haven't been fulfilled as our ancestors envisioned them, their love for us carried us through very difficult times across many generations since 1899. And we are here today in the same spirit of our ancestors, thinking about important things, talking about important things, thinking ahead to our great-grandchildren, because we love them. I believe that we as First Nations people are a different place politically than we've ever been. This is a different place of opportunity for us to move ahead in the directions we choose, to move ahead in the manner we choose. The last 10 years have been very hard on our communities under Stephen Harper and the Conservative government. They made many changes that had serious negative impacts to our communities and our lives. Today there's a different federal government. So far we've heard the Liberal government say things that indicate the possibility of opportunity for change. For example, implementing the call to action from the Truth and Reconciliation Commission calling for an inquiry into the missing and murdered Indigenous women and children. But also we must remember there's men and boys that are also missing. Here in Alberta, we also have a new provincial government. This new provincial government has also given an indication of possibility of opportunities for change. These changes in government is what they're saying can be the starting point for a new relationship in which we, as First Nations people, have a real opportunity for change and progress. While it's understandable that we may still be cynical about anything the government says to us, we still can be at least a bit hopeful, and at this time it will be different. And really, it's our responsibility to ensure that this time is different. We can't sit back. We have to tell the government how they need to work with us, how education should look like, what the funding should look like to our communities. In seeing here it all today, I'm very hopeful and optimistic, because regardless of what the government at any level, it matters to us, and we all do the work, and we all make sure that this is different. This is our responsibility. In my community of Fort Chipewyan, Mitsue, in the last 2 years, we've been asking the government for a new school, to build us a new school. The provincial school that we have in our community didn't fit the needs of our children. We had a lot of issues with mold, and of all places where it was built was in front of or by a graveyard, day in, day out, our children. That's all we see is graves across the street. And we got an approval to have a new school built on reserve. This is a starting point for us in my community, with my people, and the other people of the community. Once the school is built, the door is open for anybody to attend. Everyone is welcome. It's important that we do things right the first time around, that we don't take shortcuts. We have a lot of lessons learned over the years, how education is used as a business for the governments, organizations, and only people that can understand and know how to deliver the education in all levels is people from the grassroots and all our educators working together with the leadership and giving us a mandate to move the issues forward to deal with the governments. So the next 2.5 days is very important. Very important to start your conversations about education. Our elders play an important role. Our youth also play an important role. It's their future that they're going to be talking about, the future that they're going to plan so that the future generations have better opportunities. And the lessons learned from the residential schools and the apology that came and the 94 recommendations for the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, everything seems to line up. We need to take that advantage of that opportunity. This meeting is a very beautiful opportunity for us to reconnect as citizens of Treaty 8. We haven't done that in a while. I'm hoping this is the first conference of many that we continue to gather and show strength and unity and support for all our communities. Again, it's so wonderful to see so many youth, elders, women, community educators here together today. This is what really makes me very happy and hopeful, and a very good start today. I'll be here. I encourage you to say hello and chat and visit one another. So let's get to work. Now's the time. Thank you, and I'll stop now.
Thank you, Grand Chief. I would just like to call upon and welcome Chief Billy Joe Lumpkin to give some welcoming remarks as the Education Portfolio Chief.
Ibig siba, kakyo naskom now, tlumskat now, kakyo, mga kanak, because we were, gusto magiwag. Ano, zum, kanang tipik swat naman, numanag, gusto magsoon daw, kaya dan sa gisik gusto magawin, mamais kaya munyaw, ikan bayo gusto magawin, dan saya kagi saya, kakyo nigi kunawag, kihtiyak dan sa gisik gusto magito, tapos po saya ateo na. At semua ibu kagaya atas ko, ibu migo at saya stay when bisksnaw ibu ni hat semua at teo piuna, we one bit tami guys no hamagi tahu maya migo at no hamagi at sa bisks no hamagi ako. Good morning, greetings to all of you, all the chiefs, elders, and Thank you for the prayers from Elder Mike Beaver. Greetings to all the teachers. I just want to make a few remarks on our educational system, the traditional educational system, on how it was, how storytelling and all of the different stories that were used long ago as part of our educational system that had been lost, now that is being lost through the modern educational system. Because a lot of the time, like storytelling was the basis, and it went from kindergarten level to all the way to a PhD level. Now, of course, when you first start, all of us remember all of those stories that we hear from our mothers and our elders, and as you move along, the stories get more and more complex to the point where it could be considered or is at a PhD level. But all of that storytelling is our pedagogy. It's our way of learning, and I guess you could also call it andragogy, or how adults learn. But I know there are some gaps in there. I think that's one thing that we really need to fill in here is that art of storytelling, and how else are we going to be able to learn the stories, our own history, unless we go back to the elders and be able to learn those stories. Those stories and those songs that are still there in our ceremonies. They're mnemonic devices. They're ways of being able to get us to remember. And a lot of these stories and our ways of knowing are within our own DNA. So it's time that we're able to bring out those that way of learning. Igum tapsut kaya amam sutama nati kwe ki kwe igai snamagi mi watso maya tapsut som snamagia muniaw snamam som tapsut saya kahit ko ano ya muiksiwat sun snamagano tan siwat siya. I see you mean mo snamagano. But tan si mo ni tagihti ko yakwe tan si tagihti iko ay anihaw I see you ya. Like one of the gaps that I'm talking about that are missing within this modern day school system is compassion. There isn't really any room within the curriculum for compassion. And also relationship building, or ICNQ, or people making. And those are really important. Those are building blocks from my own education, from what I can understand from my parents and my grandparents, is the term ICNQ, and how to be able to treat people, how to be able to have a relationship with people, with animals, and with the world around you. And those are all embedded within the storytelling. And as you move along within the storytelling, a lot of the time, storytelling is really misunderstood in our modern context. Because a lot of the time when scholars ask elders on what storytelling is all about, the first thing that the elder is going to start telling them is probably a kindergarten story. Something really simple. Because how can you can't jump ahead to PhD level when somebody's asking you something. You have to make them understand that at the very basic level. So the scholar then will wander away, and I've heard this often, saying, well, storytelling is so basic. It doesn't have any merit to it. So right away there's that misunderstanding. But I think it's time that we use storytelling the way it was meant to be and how it has sustained us for thousands of years. Because it's there, all of the different teachings are right there. Now, as we move along here, what I'm proposing is that we resurrect our own indigenous educational philosophy. Tapos ko sa nihel man to ni tamo dance this na magia. And I know right now legislation is being changed in education, and I think that's our cue. I think we have to step up to the plate, and we have to be fairly forceful in being able to do that. So I look forward to the next 2.5 days to be able to get our thoughts across, and I welcome you to think back to what your teachings were, because those are what we need. Tanto kisik po dan se kagis na hamagoy pisto kagis niyok na hamagoy we waka pugotapata dan se kagis na hamagya po mo diutse we got the upay kung iwasan na hamagyo. We all know right now that our educational system is failing our Aboriginal kids, and I think it's time that we have to get involved to be able to set it straight. So with that, thank you very much. Naskum now, I had.
Thank you, Chief Lopican. I just wanted to share some information with you before we move into our break. We are live streaming on the internet right now, so I would like to invite some interaction with people who are watching on the internet. Maybe there's some folks in our communities in Treaty 8 who are participating by watching us on the computer right now, but maybe they'd like an opportunity to say something, even hello or something like that. So I'd like to also encourage you all, if you're on Twitter, to use the hashtag T8Education. And this will help us generate some online presence. Let people know that we're here, we're talking about education. These are the things that matter to us. So go on Twitter, make some tweets, take some photographs of each other, let our community see a little bit more about what's going on here, that the people that you're meeting, the people that you haven't seen for a long time. What happens with Twitter is when you have these hashtags, you can sort of follow the conversation, and you can do a search with the hashtag, and it'll show you everybody who's tweeting with this hashtag and what they're saying about our meeting today. So I would encourage you to do that, and if anyone tweets at me on Twitter, I'll be sure and let you know if there's a message they want to convey. I also wanted to take a little bit of time to share with you just some general information. There's many things that are going on, and I know it's hard to keep track and get all the information, but there's some things I wanted to make sure that you were aware of, such as the NIB Trust Fund, the National Indian Brotherhood Trust Fund. Some of you may have heard of that. It's the trust fund that exists from monies that were left over from residential school claims and that whole process, and also from other people or corporations who donated to it. So they have something now called the NIB Trust Fund, and I think I saw Mr. Cam Alexis here. He's the Alberta representative for the National Indian Brotherhood Trust Fund board. So maybe if anyone has any more questions about it, you can direct it to him. But I wanted to let you know that there was a deadline on Friday of January the 15th, but it has been extended. It's for group applications. So the new deadline for group applications, in case you weren't aware, is January the 29th, 2016. So all the information is available for that online also. I checked out the website, and it's pretty easy to use and pretty informative in telling you how to apply and what you can apply for. So I would encourage you to do that. There are 3 different opportunities within that trust fund that you can look at applying for, and the first one coming up is the group application with the deadline extended to January the 29th. Something else that's important to bring to your attention is that there was an Alberta Child Welfare Class Action Settlement recently announced. And so The law firms involved in this put out a call or an information asking for people to contact them because they can apply for compensation. And the people who would be interested and qualify for this compensation in this lawsuit are all persons who suffered injuries before or during a time when they were subject to a permanent wardship order or permanent guardianship under Alberta Child Welfare between July 1966 and February 2008, or a temporary guardianship order by Alberta Child Welfare between July 1985 and February 2008. So just so you know, put that out there to anyone in our communities who might be eligible for compensation under this. If you want more information on this or you want me to repeat it, just come and find me and I'll share it with you over the next couple of days. And one more quick public service announcement is the Government of Canada has launched an inquiry into missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. And as part of their inquiry, they're undertaking a pre-inquiry design process. What this means is the ministers are traveling across the country to talk to and to hear from specifically family members of or loved ones who've been affected by this. And what the idea is these ministers want to hear from us about what we think a national inquiry needs to look like, what the scope of it should be, who the commissioner should be, anything that you think is relevant as they're designing the national inquiry. So this is one of the things Grand Chief mentioned in his welcoming remarks. I think that is a good indication of where the government, the federal government, is at in terms of how they want to engage with us. Because this is really an unprecedented initiative that they're taking in traveling to our communities and providing this opportunity to hear from us before they put forward an inquiry on something very important and that has major ramifications within our communities. So they're going to be coming to Alberta next month on February the 11th here in Edmonton and in Calgary on February the 12th. So they have on their website, the Aboriginal Affairs website, Indian Affairs website, all of the information that they're putting out on designing a national inquiry, including a handbook, some questions to start thinking about. If you can't attend either of these meetings, you still have the opportunity to put forward your thoughts on how you think things should look. So there's a questionnaire on there, and it tells you how to participate online if that's what you're able to do. And if you're coming in from one of our communities in the north and you're worried about how are you going to get to Edmonton on February the 11th, or maybe you have children that you're worried about, you need to bring them, but what are you going to do with them while the meeting is on? The department is also going to be providing financial assistance to ensure that our community members get to these meetings. So as more information becomes available, it'll be on their website, including who to contact for help for travel or hotels or childcare or anything like that. And also where in Edmonton and in Calgary the meetings are going to be. So these are just some information that I have. I'll be here for the next couple of days. If you want, like I say, me to repeat it or share it with you, I'm more than happy to, so just come and find me. And maybe I'll just remind you of a few housekeeping notes before we get on our break. It's 5 minutes to 10, so we're on schedule. We'll have our break at 10, and then we'll resume at 10:15. So to remind you again, we're on live stream. Everything is being recorded. So if you have any questions, you will be on camera. And if you're too shy to be on camera and you don't want people to know online that you're here, write it on a piece of paper and give it to me, and I'll read the question for you if that's what you prefer. The tables at the back, the round tables, are for our elders to eat meals. Cell phones, if you have to have your cell phones on, please at least turn them to silent or vibrate. Don't forget, you must choose a group to participate in tomorrow. This is a very important part of the meeting that we're having here, is the conversation that we'll be able to have with each other and together tomorrow. So make sure to pick a group that you'll be participating in. There's also the resource table on the side that has information and how to order the information. And there'll be door prizes that will be drawn at lunch hour each day. So, that's all I have to say for now. Archie, do you have anything to add? Okay. So we're going to take a bit of a break, and please remember that after the break, when we come back, we'll be going through a bit of a lengthy period, maybe 1.5 up to 2 hours. So make sure and have a good break now, because the next break we get won't be until lunchtime. So see you at